motorsport is a world that can often leave you considering what might have been. Whether it's a driver that should have made it to the top of the sport, a manufacturer that pulled out of the sport at the height of their powers, or a whole series falling apart, there's always room for a what if. In this video, I disguise lockdown curated racing nerd fantasies as content. These are the racing programs that would have turned heads and excited fans had they ever happened. Lotus Carlton Group A. The Lotus Carlton is surely one of the most heroic performance cars of the early 90s. Putting out 377 brake horsepower and hitting 186 miles an hour was no mean feat for even the most thoroughbred sports car of its day, so seeing such feats from a warmed-up Vauxhall ruffled feathers with enthusiasts and safety nimbies alike. To my eye, this BMW M5 trouncing beast would have been an incredible addition to the Group A racing scene of the early 90s. Granted, the Group A category was in slow decline on racing circuits by the time production of the Carlton began in 1990, but thinking of it at the Spa 24 Hours or the Bathurst 1000, perhaps in a camel livery similar to the Lotus F1 cars of the time, could it have taken the fight to Godzilla? I wouldn't have bet against it. Aston Martin DB7 GT2. Now, before anyone leaps into the comments section, I am aware that a DB7 pre-qualified at the 1995 Le Mans 24 Hours in the GT1 class. But to this day, it baffles me that the history of the DB7 at any form of international racing event is restricted to that obscure little footnote. Racing with the DB7 was considered by the factory in the form of a one-make series featuring cars developed by ProDrive, but that of course never happened. However, when one starts to consider the DB7 appearing in the GT2 class of the mid to late 90s up against 993 Porsches and the Oreca Vipers, it just feels right. All was well eventually, of course, with Aston and ProDrive working together again on the DBR9, but the DBR7 would have been exceptionally cool. Mercedes CLK DTM Nürburgring 24 Hours. The 2003 and 2004 editions of the Nürburgring 24 Hours arguably represented the race at its most extreme and exciting, thanks in no small part to the full-fat factory teams from BMW, Audi and Opel. BMW entered its M3 GTR, a controversial V8-powered E46 that had previously caused many homologation headaches in the American Le Mans series, while Opel and Audi utilised cars from the DTM. That was thanks in part to DTM ditching the early coupe regulations for four-door cars starting in 2004. And with that context in mind, it would have been the icing on the cake to see Mercedes join in the fun with the CLK DTM car. Reliability issues would not have been an issue either. The DTM cars proved themselves as durable as they were fast. Opel took the overall win in 2003 using their Astra V8 Coupe. The event didn't need Mercedes, though. In addition to the factory teams just mentioned, that era of the race also featured a Japanese GT Championship Honda NSX, the famous Falcon Nissan Skyline GTR, numerous insane Porsches, and rule-bending Vipers from the ever-present Zakspeed outfit. That said, having a third team of DTM machines and another marque's finest factory drivers would certainly have added even more spice to this Vindaloo era of the M24. Ferrari 599 GT1. Now, with my adult trousers on, I completely understand why a Ferrari 599 racing car never happened. It would have almost certainly been a GT1 car, and the prancing horse's cousin, the striding donkey? The prancing horse's cousin Maserati was in the process of dominating the series and taking the other car's lunch money with the MC12. And of course ProDrive, who privately built and developed the successful 550 Maranello, were busy with the Aston Martin DBR9 by 2006. However, it would be easier to accept the lack of racing 599s if it weren't for the XX project, where Ferrari builds track supercars for the exceedingly wealthy. The 599 was the second car to get the XX treatment, and that car serves as a painful what if you're the sort of person who spends every waking moment thinking about GT racing from the 2000s. Nissan Skyline WRC. If this list proves one thing, it is that I'm a man of exceptional greed. Yes, the 90s was a spectacular time for the WRC, but how glorious would it have been to see the Nissan Skyline GTR up against rallying versions of fellow B-Road blasters from Subaru, Mitsubishi, and Ford. Granted, Nissan's Pulsar GTI-R Group A was a wonderfully over-the-top looking homologation special, but the idea of an R33 challenging McRae's Apriza and Burns' Evo will always tickle my imagination. Could Godzilla have taken the fight to them in the forests, and would anyone have caught the GTR on tarmac rallies given its racing pedigree? Sound off on that in the comments. That's my list of racing projects that should have been. Let me know which cars you would have liked to see, what you want to see from this channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more racing chatter.